April 6th, 2021. Good morning, Jake.
Hello.
Hi.
So good to be here.
We have to talk about the shoe wars coming up on this show. The greatest single delivery ever, probably, maybe not really, dropped off at our house yesterday. We'll talk about that. The Sam Darnold trade from the Jets to the Carolina Panthers. We'll tell you why that's the exact right move. Well, I'll tell you why. Jake hates Sam Darnold. Won't even say his name the right way. But we'll talk about that coming up here in just a bit, as Sam Darnold is a Carolina Panther. But we're going to start where we always start.
What?
I know it's shocking that we are going to talk Utah Jazz basketball on this show. I don't know, Jake, what is the right way to say it? A frightening win last night by the Dallas Mavericks over your Utah Jazz, because the Jazz went down to Dallas and I thought really had a game in hand that they should have won. With Kristaps Porzingis not playing in this game with a sprained wrist, he's out indefinitely. All of a sudden, it felt like this was a game that the Jazz should, could, and would win. And then all of a sudden, you were like, uh-oh, they're down almost double digits. Guards are dominating the paint, and the Jazz just don't look like the same team that went on, whatever that was, a double-digit winning streak in January. They don't look like that same team that's dominated the Western Conference all season and really has dominated the NBA. What happened in Dallas last night?
Yeah, I think it's exactly what we've been telling you guys for quite some time, which is that teams with a stockpile of smaller, quick guards who can create matchup issues gave them a lot of trouble last night. And again, this isn't – I feel like I say this every single day. A lot of these issues that these guards cause for the Jazz, like, it's not even an indictment on Rudy. Like, Rudy's doing everything that he can do. The problem is he's only one guy. I mean, he may have – the whatever it is, a 9-foot wingspan, but that's not enough in the league to cover all that ground, So it was one of two things. They were pulling the Jazz out away from the basket towards the 3-point line, and then they were attacking the paint. Or when the Jazz weren't pushing out, they were shooting the three. You've got a bunch of guys last night, whether it's Finney Smith or whether it's Hardaway or anybody else, or even Luka, obviously, who are making a ton of shots. And we were listening to the broadcast, and they were all, hyped about it. And I'm just sitting here saying, these are NBA guys, man. These are looks that they need to be knocking down. And I think the biggest thing here, and the thing that I would say, is that the Jazz, the Mavericks didn't win this game. The Jazz just didn't play well, in my opinion. They didn't come out. They didn't shoot well. It just didn't seem like they were ready. And the more concerning thing, the bigger issue here is that it's not like this was the last game on a road trip. It's not like you'd played like 10 in a row and you were tired and you were just kind of in that place as a team. This is the first of many, and they're not easy ones. And that may be the most concerning thing of the whole situation.
Well, and I guess the bigger question I have is, when do the Jazz make an adjustment? They didn't do it at the trade deadline. They didn't do it in buyout season. And now all of a sudden here we are in early April, and it still feels like the Utah Jazz haven't made an adjustment to teams that have quick guards that attack the paint. And late in the game we saw it with Tim Hardaway Jr., but I think Finney Smith, certainly early in this game, and I don't know why they didn't do it more, because we saw the switch of Rudy Gobert onto a guard that's athletic who can shoot the three and get to the cup. And early in the game, the Mavericks were not trying to take advantage of that. Late in the game, Tim Hardaway Jr. 3 times took advantage of that. And I'll say again what we've said all season, not to be redundant, but what we've said all season is, if you have quick guards that can shoot the three, you'll switch them on to Rudy Gobert. We saw it with the Clippers. We've seen it multiple times where teams attack Rudy Gobert on the pick and roll with guard play. They force him into the corner. He is a non-factor protecting the rim. And all of a sudden, it is a pretty easy finish in the paint for the opponent. In this case, it was the Dallas Mavericks. And Jake, again, I'm not trying to be negative Nicola, but I don't know how you fix this if you're the Utah Jazz. I truly don't see a way that they can, at this late hour, add to the roster or magically become a better defensive team, because I think at this point, based on their age and their makeup, they are who they are.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about becoming a better defensive team, the hope is that, okay, we're just not executing on defense. We're not sticking to our assignments, or we're not switching properly or communicating, or whatever the case may be. But that's not the issue for the Jazz. I mean, most nights they're pretty locked in. The bigger issue is that they don't have an answer for fixing this, because they don't have the personnel to fix it. They don't have the roster to fix what teams are doing to them, which is just to simply say that early in games, just as you were just talking about with the Mavericks last night, teams are going to push out on defense and stop them from making a lot of threes. And then when the opposition is on offense and the Jazz are playing defense, they're going to attack the paint, and they're going to try and, establish that interior presence, because they know once they establish the interior presence, once they establish the fact that they will drive, that they will get those high percentage looks in the paint, what does that do? That forces the Jazz to collapse. That allows that allows the Mavericks, in this case, to create great pick and roll matchups. And all of a sudden, you're in this position where the Jazz are going 4 of 21 or whatever it was last night from three, and the Mavericks are getting all these high percentage looks in the paint, which is why so often, if you go back, whether it's against good teams or bad teams, the Jazz get outscored in the paint almost on a nightly basis because of the way they play the game. And so, no, I don't think there is a fix. And I think the solution, just like it's been all year, they're just going to have to shoot better from three. It's that simple. You're either going to make these shots or you're not going to make these shots. We see the night that they make those shots and they're shooting the 45% from three that we're accustomed to, and you've got Niang coming off the bench, you've got Jingles coming off the bench, you've got Bogdanovich making his, you've got all these great guys making threes, they win games. The problem is, and again, I would tell you guys, go back and reference this because we told you this 3 weeks ago, the issue is that you cannot expect any team in the league to make the three ball at plus 40% for an entire NBA season or the postseason. That is the issue.
Yeah, and I also think one of the more interesting things that happened last night was Donovan Mitchell being out of this game for long stretches, I think really showed you how important Mike Conley is to this team. Mm-hmm. And again, that's a little scary because I don't think you can count on Mike Conley to play heavy minutes every single night down the stretch. And when I look at the box on this game, it's crazy to say, but Donovan Mitchell played 35 minutes in this game. Mm. And having watched just about every minute of it, it felt like he played 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it felt like he was gone for long stretches. And the struggle is that when Donovan's off the court, they're not as good defensively. They're certainly not as dynamic offensively. And yes, Mike Conley had 28 last night, 6 of 10 from three, outstanding.
Yep.
I mean, the problem is they are a team, in my opinion, that when one player makes half of their threes, because the Utah Jazz last night were 12 of 44 from three.
Yeah.
You're not going to win.
See, and if you think about it, like going 12 of 44 from three in this game, you this is a game that I was going in thinking, hey, like this would be a game that I would watch out for if I was the Jazz in terms of, when I look at the schedule and I say, hey, what are the games where we really need to show up? Like who are the teams that they may not be the best team in the West, right? Like the Mavericks, they may not be anything to write home about. But at the same time, they're good enough to beat you, which is what happened last night. So this is a game on the schedule where I'm like, hey, like we definitely have to show up for this game. We can't just kind of roll in here. This isn't the Bulls, man. This isn't the Rockets. You know what I mean? This team is good enough to beat you. This isn't
the Sexland Cavaliers,
which is ridiculous to me. I don't understand how that reference was made.
They're now calling the Cleveland Cavaliers Sexland.
Yeah. Okay.
Apologize to them.
You should apologize to
it's
man.
Embarrassing, dude.
You should.
It's embarrassing.
I mean, Sexton's a heck of a player, but are we really calling Cleveland Sexland?
Apparently.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, how stupid is that? Anyway, the point is the Dallas Mavericks are dangerous. But, and I'm sure I'm going to get how harsh I'm being or whatever, it's inexcusable to lose to the Dallas Mavericks when they don't have Kristaps Porzingis.
It's really unfair.
I mean, seriously, you look at Luka Doncic last night. I mean, he dominated. By the way, the other thing that I thought was so interesting, please don't tell me that the Utah Jazz don't get calls. Please don't tell me that Rudy Gobert doesn't get calls. Rudy Gobert got away with nearly murder, and so did the Dallas Mavericks, by the way.
Mm-hmm. They let him play. I mean, there's no doubt. Like,
Luka Doncic goes up for a layup, and Rudy Gobert is holding the armpit of his jersey.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear a single complaint about the officiating in this game because it was good and bad on both ends. But there is no question in my mind, Rudy Gobert got away with a lot last night, and I actually like that they let him play. I like a more physical brand of basketball. But my point is the fatal flaw of the Jazz was on clear display last night. I don't feel like they learned anything from that Philly loss, which I thought was really telling because the same things are happening. Again, guards getting into the paint, getting into Rudy Gobert's chest, attacking the middle of the paint on the Jazz. That's how you beat this team.
But here's my question: what is it? What are they going to do? Like, what they the issue for the Jazz is they don't have recourse. There's nothing they can do because of, once again, the way the roster is constructed. It's not like so they can't say to themselves, as an example, hey, well, at the beginning of games, we know that the guards for the opposition are going to be attacking the paint. Okay, Rudy, you got to be on, red alert. Okay, well, Rudy's on red alert on every possession. So what difference does that make, right?
Yeah.
So you take him out of the picture. The real question is, how are they going to play defense early in games to keep teams from getting into the paint consistently? Because it's unfair and it's unrealistic. I don't care if you're Joel Embiid, Rudy Gobert, or any other big in this league. You can't expect your big to stop everything. I mean, that's just not realistic.
No, but I think you have to find a way to handicap your bigger forwards. I think you have to find a way, like Bogdanovich is probably the perfect example to this.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find a way to help him defensively. I think you have to find a way to help guys like Mike Conley. And Mike Conley is still a good defensive guard, but he's not staying in front of the Finney Smiths. He's not staying in front of the Hardaways.
No.
Even your best defender, I think very clearly, is Royce O'Neal.
Right.
And no, go ahead, please.
Well, what I was going to say with Royce is that you're not putting him on a guard. You're putting him on the best player on the other team.
Yeah, and so it becomes a problem. I don't know. I don't think there's a way to fix it, and that's why I call it the fatal flaw.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fatal flaw of this team is the pick and roll switches ad nauseum. You have to find a way not to switch that pick and roll. You have to find a way, and I also think there is some credence to playing Bogdanovich, Favors, and Rudy on the floor at the same time. I don't know how you accomplish that.
Yeah.
Because that's going to create other issues, especially offensively, because who's off the floor at that point?
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously Bogdanovich is going to be the guy that comes up short, but I would also say he's done a really nice job of developing a game in the paint, finishing at the cup Bogdanovich has, because he has really struggled to shoot the basketball, and it's been a huge problem for them.
Yeah.
So when you look at the way that Bogdanovich has changed his game, there's a lot more back to the basket. There's a lot more, high post. There's a lot more finish at the cup, and I think that's really helped the Utah Jazz. But I look at some of the numbers last night. Bogdanovich only shoots 3 threes. That's not enough.
Yeah.
Especially on a night where Donovan Mitchell is 0 for 8. And the other thing that I think you really have to talk about in this game for the Utah Jazz, and I think this is really important, how many times can we talk about Donovan Mitchell and everybody else? Donovan Mitchell goes 0 of 8 from 3 last night, only gives you 16 points, and you lose.
What's the final score?
111-108.
So, I mean, at the end of the day...
And you were in this game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, if Donovan's not producing, they're not going to win. I mean, that's what we're looking at. You can't... And I guess really the better way to say it is you can't have... you can't have Donovan not produce and then you also not shoot threes, right? You can't go, what did you say, 12 of 44 or whatever it was last night. You can't have that and Donovan not producing. And I just think that this is when I say that I am concerned about this team and their ability to get to the NBA Finals. This is what I'm talking about. Like, think about it. You're in the postseason. Whether we'll get to the Nuggets, but like whether it's the Nuggets, the Clippers, any of these teams that you're going to potentially see in the postseason, like they are smart teams. The Clippers are not just going to get into a shooting fest with you. They understand that they can do more They understand that they can get better looks. They understand that they can get you in foul trouble and dictate the pace to you. And so that's why I say it's so disappointing that we watched the teams like the Nuggets and all these other teams in the league get better, and the Jazz have the same roster because the guys they added don't play. They're just not. They're not of consequence. And so I just don't know. If you're the Jazz, I don't know what you do to counter this. I don't know.
Well, I think you have to get Bogdanovich shooting threes again. That's what this team really misses. When they're good and the Utah Jazz are firing on all cylinders, Bogdanovich is shooting threes and making them.
Yeah.
And I think you have got to fix that. When you shoot 44 threes and you lose, that's not good. That's a problem. Because that's exactly what this Jazz team wants to do. By the way, don't know how many people saw it. The Phoenix Suns won last night. The lead is 2.5 in the Western Conference. Any idea where the Jazz are going to be on Wednesday night?
I don't know. I think it was somewhere warm, right?
Valley of the Sun, baby. It is Jazz and Suns at the Phoenix Suns Arena in downtown Phoenix. I think it's a must-win for both. I think if you are the Suns and you have any aspirations of winning the Western Conference Championship or getting the number one seed, and winning the conference championship, you have to have this game Wednesday night.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think that this is definitely a playoff matchup. This is definitely a game to for both teams to measure themselves. I think if you're a Jazz fan, you're sitting here saying, yeah, we're definitely better than the Suns, and I would agree with that. You're a better team, but I also agree with the fact that the Suns are more than capable of beating you. The Suns are a very capable team. They're very well coached. Last night, most people listening probably didn't watch Suns Rockets. Last night, the Suns were in a pretty tight game with the Rockets who were pushing them, and they were able to execute down the stretch, make shots, hit free throws, do everything that you need to do to win an NBA game. And so, I look at this matchup. The thing that excites me about it is for a fact that Devin Booker is going to be hyped for this game. And if Donovan Mitchell, doesn't show up and give you 30, this game's going to be really close, like really close.
Yeah, the interesting thing about that Suns game last night, I thought, was they got exactly what they wanted. They designed, and I think this is something that really separates who the Suns were versus who they are.
Mm-hmm.
In a late game situation where you have clearly played down to the Rockets all night long. No John Wall, no really anybody. Kenyon Martin Jr. is dunking on you. We get it.
Right.
You've played down to the Rockets all night. And I thought what was really interesting was the Suns drew up a play and they executed it perfectly. Now, Book didn't finish. They got in the ball in the high post at the elbow. He backed down his defender and got his patented fadeaway three or fadeaway jumper, and he missed it.
Wet like on Book.
But the point is, they got exactly what they wanted.
Yeah.
Where they wanted it, with who they wanted it, and he just didn't finish the J. But what that demonstrates to me is this is not your same old team.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at that game last night, looking at Mikal Bridges, looking at Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder clearly is not the same player that he was, but he's contributing in different ways, still able to hit that three. This is a difficult team to go up against. Chris Paul is exactly what this team needed. Now, again, I think he has a double-double last night. I think 16 and 10. That's points and dimes. He is having a major impact on the game in every facet. If you're the Utah Jazz, this game on Wednesday truly is a measuring stick, and I think it's a must-win.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, because if you lose this game, if you're the Jazz and you lose this game, now all of a sudden things are getting tight. Now all of a sudden, we're not just cruising with a 5-game lead in the West. Now all of a sudden we're not, we don't have room to, botch a game against the Mavericks. That's just not an option anymore. And I would tell you that, let's say that the Jazz do win this game, I still think the Suns are going to push them for the 1 seed. I really do. I think it'll be tight all the way to the end of the season. And I love your point about the Devin Booker play at the end of the game, because that's a shot that he is going to make consistently, and he just happened to miss that one. But I could totally see it. Think about it. You run that play against the Jazz, you're going to get him switched on to Bogey, and he's going to go to work. And that's just what it's going to be.
By the way, I thought it was really interesting that, the Nuggets had the night off to watch both of these games and kind of understand who's who and what's what.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was really interesting. And And if I'm the Denver Nuggets, I'm paying close attention to that game tomorrow night. And by the way, they host the Pistons tonight, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, the Nuggets do. Their general manager was on the Jim Rome show yesterday. And obviously, we've talked a lot about the Aaron Gordon trade. And it is probably the most impactful trade that took place at the deadline amongst real, legitimate title contenders. I think that Aaron Gordon deal was probably the highlight of the trade deadline. And there is a very specific reason why the Denver Nuggets went out and got Aaron Gordon, and I think this bite right here explains it perfectly.
Now, we needed a guy like him who had versatility on both ends, almost likened it to like a left tackle in football, a guy who protects your best player and quarterback and also helps him. And I think he both helps and protects Nikola with his defensive versatility and his ability to just play physically. He's a real man out there. So we thought he'd be a good fit. He allows us to do a lot of things defensively. He's I think a really competitive guy and a guy that takes pride in his defense. So we kind of crossed our fingers, and he's been fantastic thus far.
How impactful do you think? How impactful do you think Aaron Gordon's going to be in a Jazz Nuggets matchup?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's going to be really impactful. I think that So Tim Connolly, there, GM of the Nuggets, his main point there is they signed him for defense, and essentially, everything else is a cherry on top. They understand that offense isn't their problem, but defense is, and they understand that when they're playing half court, games, that they need a guy who can switch everything. They need a guy that is more than happy to meet you at the rim, and I think Aaron Gordon has shown that he is just a flexible player on both ends of the floor. So what I mean is hey, you need him to play, low block defense. Okay, great, he can do that. You want him to switch on to, we were watching him in one of the first games as a Nugget. They played the Hawks. He switched right on to Trae Young, made it very difficult on Trae Young, and Trae was forced into a difficult step back three.
Yes.
Like it was impressive. And so, when you have a guy like that who's versatile on defense, that gives you a lot of different options, not only to switch everything, but matchups and just everything that goes into it. And then the offensive end is really where I think he's getting a lot more attention right now for the off-the-ball stuff, for the fact that, he can really go and rebound. He's more than happy to play the pick-and-roll game and roll to the basket. So I just think he's unselfish, and he gives them a lot of options, which is dangerous.
And he can catch the basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So, by the way, Tim Connolly, the president of basketball operations for the Nuggets, please get his title right. Anyway, the point is, thank you, Jake. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
The point is, the other thing that I think Aaron Gordon does really well is he catches the ball. I mean, and I know this sounds foolish, but I'll go back to my old basketball coach, Ron Sapolcek, Round Lake Panther basketball. And he used to say, if you can catch the basketball on this team, you can play. You can play on this team if you can catch the ball.
I want better fucking execution.
Truth. There's so many guys in this league who can't catch the ball. You see it every night. When you watch NBA basketball, you watch how many guys can't catch the ball, who can't catch a bad pass, who can't catch a low pass. Aaron Gordon in traffic will catch the ball. He's got good, strong hands, and he's going to get up and finish. He's still got hops. He's still got springs. And this is one of the things that I haven't understood about the criticism of this trade. Mm-hmm. Aaron Gordon can still defend at a high level. There aren't many guys in this league that Gordon's going to struggle to defend. And I think it is an overestimate of how much he's fallen off. Or, and what does your guy Drake say? They said I fell off, thanks I needed that. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what Aaron Gordon needed. Maybe Aaron Gordon needed to hear the critics. Because since he's gotten to Denver, he's clearly been re-energized, and they've been re-energized by him. And again, whether you're the Jazz, the Suns, the Lakers, the Clippers, it doesn't matter. Aaron Gordon has made Nikola Jokic a more dangerous weapon on offense because now you have to respect Jokic's space in that he is going to make that pass. He can shoot the three, he can get to the rim, he can rebound, he can bang, and he can pass. And he's got a guy in the paint now who can get dirty and catch the basketball. That's a huge advantage for the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
And when you look at a wounded Laker team, I just don't see the Lakers being a factor this year. It would take a miraculous turnaround.
Agreed.
For the LA Lakers to be a factor. I look at the chemistry issues that are sapping the LA Clippers. I'm telling you, the Western Conference is going to come down to the Nuggets, the Jazz, and the Suns. and I think it's Nuggets and Jazz. I just don't see. I don't believe in DeAndre Ayton enough to think that he can handle a Rudy Gobert, a Nikola Jokic. I don't believe enough in the way that the Suns execute offensively enough, their depth enough to think that they can compete with the Nuggets, that they can compete with the Jazz. It's going to be fascinating to watch, though. This game Wednesday night, tomorrow night, I am as excited as I can be.
Yeah.
For Jazz and Suns tomorrow night. Like,
I'm with you, dude.
That's a huge, as big as a regular season game can be, I think.
Yeah, if you're a Jazz fan, this is absolutely a must-watch game for you. I mean, if you're somebody who's on this show every day, you're watching the Jazz, you're following them, and you're paying attention, you gotta watch this game. I mean, this is definitely a potential postseason matchup.
Yes.
This is definitely a great game for the Jazz to measure themselves on. And I think this is, when everybody calls this the Devin Booker show, come Thursday, if he puts up 40 in that game, y'all are going to hear about it, because this is the kind of game when Devin Booker shows up, it makes a huge difference.
Yep, totally agree with that. Make sure you hit subscribe. Give us a thumbs up on the old YouTube machine if you're watching the show. Really appreciate that. We have had so much support on YouTube. Kind of validates the decision we made. A lot of people ask about, Periscope. Well, Periscope's dead. Periscope's no longer in business.
We did this show on Periscope for, like 4 years?
Yeah, a long time.
Long time, man.
A long time. We were on Periscope and loved it. Periscope was a great platform. But YouTube has been really good for us. So appreciate you subscribing. Give us a thumbs up. It really helps the show grow. We are, what did Gabe Ledley say? Mediocre or not mediocre. Meteorically.
Meteorically.
There's a Freudian slip when I said we were mediocre. Hey, look.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Cocaine's a hell of a drug. My point is, it's been a meteoric rise of mediocrity here on YouTube.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Oh, man. Anyway, the point is, Eric and Raleigh is developing a reputation for being consistently unhappy.
Okay.
Right? He said, I still wish you guys were on a platform where I could listen and do other things on my phone.
Well,
look, man, porn's going to be there. Trust me. When the show's over, you can still strengthen your forearms. It's an hour of your day that'll change your life.
Here's the game plan.
Those are rookie numbers.
Yeah.
The point...
Pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
The point is, we appreciate you guys watching the show. And Eric, I know it's a big, it's encumbering and it's difficult. And
trust us. We wish there was a platform that did it too, but there's not. We're here.
And it's working
It's
great.
life.
We love it. Hit subscribe and give us a thumbs up. Let's talk the New York Football Jets. Jets, Jets. Huge move yesterday for the New York Jets. They traded Sam Darnold to the Carolina Panthers in a move that I think was necessary. Not only was it right, it is necessary. And the reason I think it's so necessary is because Sam Darnold needed a change of scenery, and the Jets needed to move on even further from Adam Gase. And they really seem to like BYU stud Zach Wilson.
All gas, no brake.
They really seem to like him.
Mm-hmm.
And Darnold's a kid that I think is really good. If you look at some of his advanced numbers, Adam Gase did terrible things. I saw a comparison to Darnold and Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill, of course, was a pupil, which means student, Jake. Anyway, he was a pupil of Adam Gase in Miami. Disaster. Lands in Smashville with the Titans, and what happens?
Yep.
Explodes and becomes an actual, performing NFL quarterback. You look at Darnold, I think he's very much in the same boat. The talent is there. The legs are there. In Carolina, he'll have a better supporting cast. Jury's out on Rule and what that program is in Carolina. We'll find out. He is clearly an upgrade to what the Carolina Panthers have had. And in a division where Tom Brady's 864 years old, Matt Ryan is not getting younger in Atlanta. New Orleans doesn't really have a starting quarterback right now, with all due respect to Taters, I love you, buddy. But that New Orleans doesn't have an established number one QB. This was absolutely the right move for Carolina. But more to the point, what does this allow the New York Jets to do? You have a new regime. You needed a fresh air in the room. This allows you to kind of clean house in totality. You bring in a kid like Zach Wilson. Now this is a guy that you are clearly, on point, on path to draft number 2. Jake, I love this move by the New York Jets. I think it was exactly the right thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that stands out to me about the move is finally we're seeing the Jets start to play offense instead of start to play defense with how they run their organization. I feel like for so long, the Jets have kind of been in this. I mean, even if you go back to even the Darrelle Revis days, like when it was Gang Green and we had this amazing defense and like everything was awesome and we had Rex Ryan and like in those times, ever since then, they've kind of just been like floating. They've kind of just been like a rudderless ship, kind of just working through life, and so you sign Gaze, you have Darnold, like it just is. They were just, you had the Le'Veon Bell situation. They were just a mess, man. There was just nothing happening. And now I finally feel like you moved on from Gase. Now you've moved on from Sam. Now you've moved on from Le'Veon Bell. Like you've moved on from that era of all those issues and trials and tribulations. And now you're playing offense and you're saying, okay, we like Zach Wilson. We believe in him. We went ahead and got Salah to be our head coach. And we're in a great position. And now what we have to do is we have to have a great draft after Zach Wilson. Obviously, they're going to take him, but like the rest of the draft, you still got to do a good job. And then you got to develop. That's the big difference here. The Jets, they can have a baller draft, but if you don't develop any of these dudes, who cares? Like, who cares? They might as well just be, wasted assets that never did anything for you. You were bad for no reason then if you're not going to develop these guys. And frankly, I feel like the league is begging for the Jets to be like even competitive again. Like think about it this way. When the Giants had some success, everybody was thrilled, If the Jets, the next guy who takes the Jets to the Super Bowl is going to be an absolute hero. And I think we're getting closer to that. Where this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think now you start looking at mock drafts and you start kind of projecting forward with what's going to happen. I don't think there's any doubt the Jags are taking Trevor Lawrence at 1. Now I have no doubt that it's going to be Broadway Zach and the New York Jets at number 2. Mm-hmm. I think Mac Jones to the San Francisco 49ers makes a hell of a lot of sense at number 3. I think Trey Lance, the quarterback out of North Dakota State, to the Falcons at number 4 to be the heir apparent to Matt Ryan.
Not many people know about that dude, but I'm telling you, he's going to be a problem in this league.
But here's the other thing, and I know that this is almost taboo and it's very difficult at times in this league. If you draft that quarterback, I think this is your final year with Matt Ryan. Mm-hmm. And I think you have to have the balls to move on from Matt Ryan. You have to do what Carolina did because, let's be honest, Teddy Bridgewater was garbage last year.
Yep.
He was not very good at all. And surprisingly so, and maybe Teddy is just a backup in this league. I think he's talented enough to play in this league. But I think that Teddy Bridgewater was awful last year. If you are the Atlanta Falcons and you truly like Trey Lance on that level, I think you have to be all in on the fact that this is Matt Ryan's final season in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I think I'm watching that one. Penny Sewell better be the pick for the Cincinnati Bengals at 5. If you are really going to build around Burrow, Joe Burrow, the local kid, Cincinnati Bengals, my leg got snapped in two because we suck.
Nah, dude.
Penny Sewell's the guy that you better take at number 5, and you go on from there, and then I think you're going to see a run on wide receivers. I would be shocked if Miami did not draft Jalen Waddle. Detroit probably winds up on Jamar Chase. And then it's an interesting question about what the Carolina Panthers do.
Yeah.
Because I think the 8th pick could be fascinating.
Well, it's crucial for them. I mean, they have to, this has to be a good, effective, logical, sound pick for their team. And I think that so often, you can look at around the league, whether, like for our show, you want to look at the Cardinals, let's say, and talk about the fact that they haven't drafted protection in quite some time for their offensive line.
Yeah.
I look at the Panthers and I say, hey, this is all fine and dandy that you just got your new car and Sam Darnold, but if you're not going to protect him, it's over. I mean, you're not doing it.
But I think you're underselling the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Are they still going to draft quarterback at number 8? There's a lot of people who think the Carolina Panthers we'll be looking at Justin Fields there. Now, I don't happen to be a believer in Justin Fields, especially at number 8, especially after you traded for Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
I just am. But there's you don't write it off. There's a lot of people who think that the Carolina Panthers are going to draft Fields at 8.
What's the logic? Like,
Because the logic is you're trading for a guy that has not had almost any success at the NFL level in Sam Darnold. Now, are you writing that off to Adam Gase and the disaster that is perennially the New York Jets?
Yeah.
Or are you saying, is your mindset, hey, we're taking a risk here? I'd be really surprised if you believe that Darnold's a wreck. I think you traded for him believing he'd be your starting quarterback. God, that would be really...
to me,
it's a difficult call, man.
The only issue I have with drafting, drafting a quarterback in that slot is that you just went and got Sam, and to go ahead and draft another quarterback like behind him like that, just it does not send a great message to Darnold about who you think he is. And I think that when in this league, when you go out and you get a quarterback not in the draft, like when you make a trade or something like that, it doesn't make sense to go and draft another quarterback. I'm not saying it's dumb, but I just don't think that it, like, again, so we're going to go ahead and trade for a quarterback, then we're going to draft for a quarterback, but then we're going to have defensive issues, or we're not going to have protection.
Right, but it's not like you're going to pay 2 top quarterbacks.
Right, but it just, I don't know, man. That just seems silly to me. Like, why if you're going to draft quarterback at that slot, why did you go and get Darnold then? That just doesn't make sense to me.
Because I think Sam Darnold is a guy that you don't know. And I think you've had a lot of time to look at Justin Fields. I just don't. Again, I think Fields is more of a risk than Darnold. I that's just me. But Sam Darnold's a guy that you don't know what his top end looks like.
Yeah.
I also think that you could have 2 quarterbacks there that I don't think happen to be the end of the world, because I think I could be wrong. I think Sam Darnold's only owed $24 million. So if you can pay a quarterback, your starting quarterback, $12 million a year,
that's really good.
I think you'd be thrilled with that. And then you have a guy in Fields on a rookie deal. What's the absolute worst case scenario? You have 2 young quarterbacks and you wind up trading one down the road.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I guess,
so I don't see it's the end of the world. But here's the problem. Who's your head coach in Carolina? You hired a guy that I think you have to at some point give him what he needs to run his system. And Matt Rule is a guy that when I look at Rule and I look at where he's been and what he's about, how are you not drafting Patrick Surtain out of Alabama?
Don't get it.
At number 8, I think that feels like the logical pick to me, and I think he's a guy in Matt Rule that really loves defense. This is a guy with a deep defensive background. They need to improve on defense.
Yeah,
that's an organization that has historically been built on defense. Now they've had good quarterbacks, but when has Carolina ever had an elite quarterback? Kerry Collins in the Super Bowl years,
Cam Newton for maybe 2 years was really at the top of the game.
Cam Newton has never been, and this is a philosophical thing, and you took the name right out of my mouth with Cam Newton. Cam Newton has never been a prototypical let's go get it done quarterback. But in the biggest moment of his career, he flopped.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I think that when they had him, though, like, the league was in a place where we wanted to see the mobile quarterback. Like, we wanted to see these guys who could run around and, like, get away from the traditional pocket presence, and I think that is kind of why Cam Newton sort of ascended to the top of the ranks there for a few years. But you're right. I mean, he's never been the guy he's got a hell of an arm. Well, he did. But he never really had touch. He could never really place the ball, like, right where you'd want it to be. And I think that's why he's never really been able to kind of get over the hump in his career.
He had a year in 2015 that will forever define his career, and justifiably so. Offensive Player of the Year, MVP. Look, I totally understand it. How many times has he thrown for 5,000 yards in his career?
None.
0.
Yeah.
How many times has he been within 1,000 yards of throwing for 5,000 yards in his career?
Yeah.
Once. One time when he was a rookie. How many times? I can go up and down this list. Do you understand that Cam Newton's career completion percentage is 60%? The numbers don't say that this guy is an elite quarterback.
But 60% used to be the threshold. Like now we're pushing it to like 75%, dude.
Because that's what the league demands.
I guess.
That's what quarterbacks have become. He's never been in my opinion, he's never been a gifted quarterback.
That's true. He's been a gifted athlete.
He's been exactly. He's been a physical freak.
Yeah.
They've never had a guy that throws the ball from the position in a dominant fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be interesting to see, does Sam Darnold turn into that guy? And I'm not sitting here convinced that he's going to.
Right.
But this was a great move by the Carolina Panthers for one simple reason: they have choices.
Yeah.
They knew they had to upgrade. I don't know what they wind up doing with Teddy Bridgewater, but they knew they needed an upgrade there. My feeling is Darnold's their one. Sam Darnold is their one.
Yeah.
Man, if I'm Matt Rule, I am doing everything I can do to get my club to draft probably Surtain at number 8. That'd be my guess. And there's going to be a lot of debate about that.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be interesting to see because they have. Let's not forget what this team is. I mean, this team is CMC. This team, like if
they can be good, they need quarterback play desperately.
Yeah, and if you're not going to be elite offensively, you better be able to stop people.
Yeah.
If I'm the Panthers, what I'm doing at number 8 is I'm drafting defense.
I agree.
But I think it's a fascinating choice they have to make.
Yeah.
And I love it. I absolutely love it. And I think that there is so much intrigue in this draft. And if you look at like the 49ers quarterback situation, I mean, plain and simple, if the 49ers truly want to compete in the near term for a Super Bowl, Zach Wilson's your guy.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about them trading up to number 2 to get him.
Well, it's only one spot.
Yeah.
But
it matters.
You're not going to get him now. I think the window on that is closed. By the way, if you wind up sticking with Jimmy Garoppolo, it's not the end of the world here. If I'm the 49ers, I draft Mac Jones.
Yeah.
And I sit him behind Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yep.
Because I again will say, and again, I know this is a philosophical thing, but I think thrusting young quarterbacks into starting roles, Zach Wilson with the Jets,
we'll see.
You're going to sink or swim. And frankly, a lot of people wind up sinking in those situations.
Well, and we see the best of the best have sat behind starters. So, you look at, as much as I hate his mustache, Aaron Rodgers was able to sit behind Brett. Patrick Mahomes was able to sit behind Alex Smith. So a lot of today's great, great quarterbacks were able to sit behind starters. I mean, you even look at Tom Brady. I mean, he was able to sit behind Bledsoe all those years, and then somebody gets hurt, he steps in, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I agree with you. Eric and Raleigh says the Cam Newton Panthers never had great wide receivers. Well, they had one of the best tight ends in the NFL in Greg Olsen.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean, Ted Ginn Jr. wasn't a great wide receiver?
When did he go? He went to the Super Bowl one time, didn't he? Cam Newton, didn't he made one Super Bowl appearance?
Wasn't it 2015?
Was it 2015? I don't remember what year it was.
I'm pretty sure that year that's the 15-1 year where they won the South.
Yeah.
Listen, I think who'd they lose? They lost to Von Miller in the Broncos in the Super Bowl that year.
Sure. I don't remember.
But anyway, the point is, I look at Cam Newton. Wasn't a bad quarterback. He was never a guy that you were going to build your team around to go win a Super Bowl. That's just not who that guy ever has been.
Yeah, I agree,
or ever will be.
I agree.
I just think that you're not wrong, Eric and Raleigh, that they never had great wide receivers. But they never had a great quarterback either.
Yeah.
They never had a great quarterback. And I just, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Who's going to be better, Zach Wilson or Trevor Lawrence?
I want to say right out of the gate Trevor Lawrence, because I think he's probably got more to work with. He's got a better system that kind of plays more to him. Like, I think Urban is going to build an offensive system that's going to play to his strengths. My bigger concern is not even that Zach Wilson is somehow second tier to Trevor Lawrence. My main concern is that the Jets are a dumpster fire of an organization and have been for a long time. And I just don't think that they're not getting fair shakes. So like, it's not like Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson are getting the exact same opportunity. It just comes down to them. I think Trevor Lawrence is stepping into a better situation for his development than Zach is.
Yeah, I would agree. Where Mac Jones or Justin Fields?
Mac Jones, for sure. I would go with Mac Jones. I think he's got a better build. I think he's a prototypical NFL quarterback.
Just stop.
Yeah.
He completed 78% of his passes.
Yeah, but...
Are you kidding me? In Alabama?
Yeah, but...
I want to say that's an
all-time record. Take that with a grain of salt, though, dude. Take it with a grain of salt.
A grain of salt? It's 78%.
Yeah, I get it, dude. I get it.
What do you mean a grain of salt?
You can't sit here and say that 78% is like Jesus Christ incarnate and then rip Cam Newton for being 60% for his career. There's reasons why things happen and why they don't. Like, he needs to prove that he can do it.
Cam Newton at Auburn was no Mac Jones at Alabama.
Well, yeah, sure. All I'm saying is that Mac Jones needs to prove that he can do it on a team that's not the best team in the league.
You know what's interesting? Mike Tannenbaum, the former general manager of the Jets, made an interesting comparison.
Mm-hmm.
He compared Mac Jones to Matt Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a really good comparison.
It is. They're not mobile. They can throw it. They're heady quarterbacks. He's smart. I like Mac Jones, but what I'm telling you is that you got to be careful saying, hey, he's going to be amazing because he was 78% at Alabama. The reason a lot of those passes are completed is because of the talent that they have at wide receiver. Those are not somehow like,
bro, you still got to put the football on the bro. Like, why is Tua not a good NFL quarterback?
Yeah.
Why is Mac Jones a better quarterback and will be a better NFL quarterback than Tua Tagovailoa?
Yeah, he's a better quarterback right out of the gate.
I said Tua Tagovailoa, my hip hurts.
I know.
Okay, I'll move on.
It's my quarterback.
Why are you getting salty?
Because I think that so often we want to go and we want to say, especially about Alabama players, everybody wants to say, oh my God, he did this at Alabama. Well, what else do you think he's going to do, dude? I could roll out of bed and go be a tight end at Alabama and probably get an offer, dude. Like, come on, bro. Like these guys have everything that they could possibly need to be successful at Alabama. You've got the best head coach in the game.
Is that their fault?
It's not their fault.
He's
but
still got to go
against
the best talent in football every day.
No. He may be the best defenses. His team is twice as good as those defenses. He's playing with an NFL team. It doesn't matter if it's his fault or not. The fact is that if you're gonna sit here and say, "Oh my God, he was 78% at Alabama," we need to talk about the fact that his teams, the team that he played on, is one of the most dominant teams college football has ever seen, and that's not him carrying the ball club. He's completing the passes. Yes. His wide receivers are well open. Yes, like
if it was simply that Mac Jones has huge human beings as an offensive line, elite speed at wide receiver,
which he does,
elite power at running back,
which he does,
the best coach ever,
he does.
Why did every other fucking quarterback at Alabama throw for 78%? Because they're not Mac Jones.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
It's not easy in SEC competition to throw for 70. Let me get the example.
Put Zach Wilson behind that offensive line and see what happens.
Okay.
I'm serious.
I don't disagree with
you. Put Trevor Lawrence behind that offensive line. See what happens.
Well, Trevor Lawrence had a better offensive line.
Well?
Did he throw for 78%? Oh, excuse me. 77.4%. Oh, my bad.
You better be ready to die on that hill, dude, because he's not throwing for 70+% in the NFL his first year.
Okay,
that ain't happening.
Okay, listen, I think it's very difficult to do what he did, and I think it's very difficult to go from college to the NFL and succeed. I'm not a believer in Trevor Lawrence as an NFL quarterback. We'll see if I'm wrong. I think Mac Jones is a hell of a prospect. And as projections go, I think he projects to be an absolute stud.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it is because he went for 77.4%. The highest completion percentage ever.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. And if you want a completion percentage like that, all you have to do is subscribe to The Monty Show on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. Come on, that was amazing.
It was good. That was a good transition, yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, hitting a wide open receiver for a 30-yard completion.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Go look at the throws because not a lot of them are wide open wide receivers. All right. Can we get you out of your crabby ass mood and maybe
I'm fine, dude. I just think that
You know what? And you'd be crabby too if you had to sit next to Stupid all day.
yeah,
Smells like Crisco and
think
bacon.
look what I got to work with here. You know.
I mean, you
Come on.
fart bacon grease.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is, hit subscribe on our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. Speaking of the bacon, are you jealous?
No, I'm not. I think it's really cool what Nike did here.
Are you envious?
No,
Do you want my autograph?
no.
Okay, fine. I have, I think, 5 pairs of shoes on order at Nike right now. Could show up at the door any day. So when we got the ding dong yesterday, and there was a box unmarked with not Nike tape on it, because if you order shoes from Nike, you know it comes with tape on it. We were like, I wonder what this is. Had my name on it. Open it up. There's a handwritten note. There are some bacon bits. There's an air freshener that smells like bacon. And there's a box of shoes. And it was amazing. It was one of the single greatest moments in my life. Far fig Nugan. And what it is my friends at the Nike store, on Twitter, it's just at Nike store, sent me a pair of the Air Max 90 Bacons. It was one of the only shoes that I truly cared about winning this year. I was actually really upset that I lost the auction in the sneakers app to get the Bacons. I tweeted about that. I tweet about Nike and my shoes all the time.
I didn't sleep for the past 2 nights because of this. I was that upset.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was an incredible gesture that Nike would send me a gift, write me a handwritten, personalized note, and send me those Bacons to my front door.
And you still deny that you have someone in...
I have no idea who it is.
There's someone there.
I have no idea who it is, and frankly, I don't care. I think it is...
Oh, I'm not saying it's a problem. I think it's
gesture.
Amazing. Yeah.
They wrote me a note that says, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Start yours extra crispy. Signed at the Nike store.
Yeah, man.
And they included these bacon bits.
Which is hilarious.
In the box. It's a bag of Oscar Mayer bacon bits. They included the shoe that is now on the wall. The Air Max 90 Bacon. And I just think it was an incredible gesture. And then for them to tweet at me and say, you know, we saw you tweeting on Air Max Day, which was March 26th. It was a day that I loved and looked forward to, that I continue every year to look forward to. And the guys at Nike store saw me tweet about the fact that, hey, I picked up like the Shamrocks, I got a ton of shoes on Air Max Day. Except the bacon. I've easily spent $20,000.
Yeah.
Easily in recent times on shoes at Nike. I only wear Nike. And it's because of little stuff like this. It's little stuff like this, and then they tweeted at me and said, we saw you celebrated Air Max Day by bringing new heat to your collection, and we wanted to serve up the pair that got away.
Yeah.
It's an
pretty
unbelievable
awesome,
gesture.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, man. I mean, you don't hear about that too much.
It is completely organic, completely out of the blue, and I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It absolutely made my day.
Yeah, I'm thrilled about it. I think it's awesome that they do that kind of thing. I think the fact that it was like just out of the blue, that it just kind of showed up. That's always the best way to, surprise somebody or whatever. Like I think they did well.
For a shoe guy like me, and I know we talk about it ad nauseum on the show. I collect. It's just it really is amazing. It really, really is amazing that they did that.
Yeah, man.
And then to cap off the day, we decided, hey, let's go to the gym. So you joined Vaza Fitness here in Salt Lake City.
Do you even lift?
Well, we did. So we do. And we went back to the gym last night. How did you feel about it?
Fine. Completely fine. I mean, there were a lot of people there for sure, but I was expecting that, obviously.
It was busy.
Yeah. I still maintain that, wear a mask, get your vaccine, and I think you're good. Obviously, yeah, I was really pleased to see that Vaza had, wipes everywhere and hand sanitizer and all that stuff. Like, that was awesome.
Yeah.
So you can, wipe the stuff down. And I also think, too, as much as there was pretty much nobody in the gym actually wearing a mask, but everybody was wiping stuff down, and you can clearly tell that it's on the forefront of people's minds. So I think it just I think it's fine. I think you just have to go at the right time.
I have been notoriously uncomfortable in public since the pandemic. I got my second Pfizer vaccine shot a week ago today, and it still doesn't make me feel any better. We were at this Vaza Fitness, and it was very busy. But at no time did I ever feel like I was in danger of getting coronavirus. I have my mask on. Yes, I wear my mask everywhere. I'm that guy. Deal with it. We had good social distance. People were being respectful of the space.
Yeah.
We were benching at one point, my 275 pounds of bench press that was sitting on the floor because I don't bench that much right now. People were giving us space. We were on a cable machine. People were giving us space.
Yeah.
We were doing dumbbell shrugs, plenty of space. It was a good experience. I really like Vaza. We've had a good experience with them.
And it's a nice-ass gym.
It is.
It is a nice gym, dude.
And if you're here in Salt Lake and you go to Vaza Fitness, you know exactly what we're talking about. But it was a little uncomfortable. And it's something I guess I'll get used to. I won't go to the gym at that time again because it's very clearly peak. Not to mention that there's a pothole in that parking lot the size of Jamaica.
Dude.
That could easily swallow my Is
this the dagger?
So I won't be going back at that time. But, Saturday morning when they open at 6 a.m., I'll be going to the gym. By the way.
Yeah.
We have also booked a Vegas trip. So we got vaccinated. We went back to the gym.
Tell me about the Cosmopolitan room. I want to hear about this room. Tell me. I want to hear about it.
It's expensive.
I mean, this room, it sounds pretty lit, honestly.
I requested a balcony, and I requested a floor at the top of the tower.
Nice, dude.
But my God, it's expensive. So I like the Cosmopolitan. I happen to have been there in the past. The pool's amazing. The restaurants are amazing. The casino's amazing. It's very close to Mastro's Ocean Club at City Center. There's a lot to like about the Cosmopolitan.
Yeah.
It's not for the faint of checkbook. Thank the lucky stars I'm a Bonvoy member. So I get a ton of points for staying there.
Yeah.
But I'm really stoked. They are high-end. When you want an experience in Vegas, the Cosmopolitan's the way to go.
I don't know that I've ever actually been to the Cosmopolitan, dude.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I ever have.
But you're not a big Vegas guy.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah.
No, and I was wondering where Barry was. Barry says, Aria, you cheap F. Okay, that's fine.
That's fine. So on brand for Barry.
So on brand. Yes, it is. But I just see Barry has gotten into this disappearing thing now, where he'll send me a message that disappears, and it's like, okay, it's fine. Anyway, the point is, I look at the Cosmopolitan.
Yeah.
I look at the strip. I look at where stuff is, and I just am a huge fan of the Cosmopolitan. I like the motif of it. I like that. Like I said, it's very close to City Center, which is where we're going.
Yeah.
We're only going to Vegas to get hammer drunk, shit-faced on martinis at the, I'm not going to lie, Weren't we supposed to stop cursing on this show?
Yes. Yes.
At Mastro's Ocean Club at City Center. That's why we're going. We're going for 2 nights. We are going to get lit on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to sleep late on Saturday, and then we are going to walk off our hangover that is sure to come after like the 11th Dreamberry.
Dude,
I will attempt not to vomit on myself again. But the point is, we are going to walk all over Vegas, and then we're going to get up at like 5 a.m. on Sunday and leave.
And this is the best part about this trip, right? So you're doing the room, right? Or whatever, the Cosmopolitan.
Yes, I paid for the room.
And I'm doing Mastro's.
Yes.
And I couldn't be more excited about it, honestly. Like, I
I'm
honestly
just telling
couldn't
you.
be so more excited.
I'm just telling you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I'm not promising that it's going to be cheap.
Oh, I'm not, dude. I don't care. Like, I listen.
I'm
When's
just
the
saying.
next time? How often? This is how I like to think about things. So some people will say, "Oh, well, you're gonna spend like a G at Mastro's."
Yes,
and
we know.
and I'm like, okay, so what's the point of getting up at 4:30 every day? What's the point of the grind that is our 9 to 5 and like all the stuff we're doing if we're not from time to time going to go and have a great time on a trip? I mean, what's the point? You know what I mean? So it's just like, I just think it's going to be a lot of fun, dude. I think it's going to be, I mean, the last time that we did like a go hard at Mastro's session was for my 21st, like
Go
5-6
hard
years.
at
Yeah,
Mastro's
dude,
session.
dude. Like, I don't know. You came through clutch the next day too. I don't know how you did it. Like,
what do you mean?
like because you had to do a radio show the next day. Like, what time?
Well,
I mean,
vomiting all over myself in the bathroom, and on the way to the bathroom, in the veranda of the bathroom.
Hey, look here, man.
I think I've told this story. See, unlike you, I'm not going to freak out and get pissed you brought this up. This is not printing porn like Jake did.
Dude.
I'm kidding. Real quick. It was, what year was that? 2014?
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it was December of 2014.
Yep.
We were there for the Las Vegas Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I was with Ben Napoleon Wilson and Will Smith, the late Will Smith. You and me.
Mm-hmm.
We were there for like 3 days. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We come home Saturday.
Yeah.
We go to Mastro's on Thursday night. Idiot. Why did we do it on Thursday night? I have no idea. Go to Mastro's on Thursday night. And we're staying at the Maloof's old hotel.
The Palms.
The Palms. We're staying at the Palms.
The Maloofs.
They are our partners on this trip.
Yeah.
I think they probably didn't appreciate my part of the partnership. We went to Ocean Club on Thursday night. I think, and I'm guessing, but I think pretty close, we had 4 straight-up martinis before dinner.
That's insane. Just on the face, dude.
Before we ate a morsel of food on Jake's 21st birthday. We had 4 martinis straight up. We had a Dreamberry, and then the bartender, who I want to say was hot as balls.
Yeah, she was a Hawaiian girl. She was crazy.
Man.
Dude. Yeah, she was crazy, man.
She started making us martinis.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, I know for a fact you didn't pay for your martinis because it was your birthday. She was comping you.
Mm.
I was paying, and I was drinking a lot. And so then we go to the table,
mm-hmm.
and I start eating bread, and I order another martini. And then the steak comes with the shrimp, the prawns, the mashed potatoes, the mac and cheese, the green beans, and I've had 2 more martinis. And then the butter cake and another martini.
Dude, their butter cake is legendary. Like,
and then the Uber ride back to the Palms. And I walk into the Palms, and Ben Wilson is standing there like, hey, are you feeling okay? I'm like, hey, bro, I'm good.
I'm feeling good, bro.
And he's like, great, let's hit the table. So I'm like, no, man, I got to get up early. I want to make sure I'm ready. I'm going to go up to the room and go to sleep. Got up to the room, laid down in bed.
Yeah.
And woke up like in the middle of the night and threw up.
Oh.
I started having second thoughts.
Immediately. Got up, got put on my nicest fit, which is I had some lit jeans at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I had on, I don't remember the brand. Was it a Bruno Mali? I don't know. I put on my really nice leather loafers.
Man, those are sweet.
Like $220. Put on a really nice black button-up shirt, nice jeans, dress socks. And it's like 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And, dude, I don't feel well.
Mm-hmm.
I do not feel well.
Were you still in a haze at that point, or you just felt terrible?
I felt terrible.
Okay.
I was drunk.
Yeah.
And the show is coming up in like 90 minutes. So I'm eating, I remember eating croissants and toast.
Excellent strategy, sir.
Yeah, and it really helped. By the time the show started, I was no longer drunk. Like,
right.
I felt...
You were good.
I just didn't feel good, but I was, like, fine.
Yeah, you could operate.
And I was operating fine. And then we're, like, in the middle of the second hour, and I'm sitting in the lobby of the Palms.
Yeah.
And I start thinking to myself, where's the bathroom? Over there. Bro, and when I say over there, I mean, my God. It was probably 100 feet, and it felt like 1,000.
This is a code 10 abort.
And you start getting that feeling where you know, okay, I you know what? Now I'm going to pay for my sins.
Yeah.
And so we're going to break, and I'm like, dudes, I got to go to the bathroom. All right, cool. I go to break. I walk over to the bathroom. About halfway there, there's a garbage can. And I'm looking at the garbage can, and because I'm on the verge.
You're like holding it back.
And then this is going to sound gross. So I'm just telling you, this is going to be gross. And I completely vomited in my mouth. Oh. It was awful. Like, I'm holding it. I put my hand over my mouth, and it's like dripping out my mouth. And I contemplated throwing up in the garbage can, but I swallowed everything.
Dude.
So I threw up, swallowed it, and the bathroom's now about 20 feet in front of me. I'm like, okay, you're going to make it. You're fine.
Oh.
And then it happened again.
Oh, bro.
And so there's this hallway entryway thing in this bathroom.
The veranda.
Yeah, like the veranda.
You know those big entrances? They're like, they're this huge, like, round
circle.
thing.
It's a rotunda
thing.
or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And I walked one step inside that thing and threw up all over the wall.
Oh.
I mean, all over the wall. Now, remember, I have on wood bottom, and I think they were Bruno Mali shoes. I have on wood bottom leather loafers.
Oh.
Well, where do you think the vomit that hit the wall went? Onto the marble floor. I slipped and fell.
Dude.
I get up, I go into the bathroom, and man, I just empty my stomach for like 3 minutes of just violent, terrible vomiting. Just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I remember standing up after I was done, like I'm just bent over, like I'm standing on my 2 feet, just leaning over, just violently disposing of like 13 martinis.
Biggest kick in the balls you'll ever get.
Into this toilet in the bathroom at the Palms. And I'm like, oh, whew. I stand up. There's vomit on the toilet. But I'm like, all right, cool, man. I look down. I feel like I'm fine.
Now you're good. We all know that feeling.
So I go over to the sink. I rinse my mouth out because it's terrible. My shirt's got no vomit on it. I'm like, all right, you're pimp. Let's go.
I survived.
And I felt amazing.
Yeah.
Because when you vomit that violently, you get endorphins.
And by the way, all of this, what should be said here, this is all during a commercial break on your show.
Yes.
Like, this is while the show's happening.
And so I get back, and they're coming back from break. I'm like,
boom,
nailed it. I feel really good. In fact, I remember like trotting over because I knew we were on time. So like I kind of trotted over. I sit down. I'm like, woo, let me put these headsets on. All right, 1320 KFAN Monty in the morning, live at the Palms Resort. And we just go on and do the show. But like, and I feel great. Like, no problem. They bring us over breakfast. They brought over some, and I remember it vividly. They brought over blueberries and cantaloupe freshly cut.
Oh, that'll help. Yep.
So I'm eating that, and I feel great. I'm drinking just like buttloads of water. Like, it's great. And we're like last hour of the show. 6 to 10 every day. Last hour of the show. And Jake is kind of sitting, like if we're right here, Jake is kind of sitting across from me. And I just remember you started like motioning without motion because I truly don't believe that anybody who was around had any idea what was going on.
Yeah.
Because the story's never gotten out.
Yeah.
And if that had happened, trust me, the story would have gotten out.
Yeah.
But like you're sitting across from me and you're just kind of like, you're doing this thing where you're like, just kind of looking and you're cocking your head. You're like a cat who's staring at a canary, like. And then it turned from cat who's staring at a canary to witness who's staring at a dead body.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, what in the world is this? And then you finally started like doing that eye thing where you're like
motioning.
You're pointing with your eyes. You're like. And so finally I got the gist that he was looking at my pants. And I'm like, dude, what is wrong with you? So I looked down at my pants. Turns out the vomit didn't go in the toilet. I had vomited all over my left pant leg and shoe. Now, thankfully, I work with a bunch of amorous bros who were not checking me out from the waist down.
Mm-hmm.
I had vomited all over my jeans and my shoes. And it was terrible. Needless to say, the show wraps up like we did all of our guests. It was great. Had a really good show.
Yeah.
The Palms invited us back the next year.
Right.
Like we made a ton of money on that trip. Our sponsors were happy. Everything was great.
Yeah.
The show ended at 10 o'clock. I was asleep by 10:15, and we did not wake up till like 3 or 4 o'clock.
Yeah, dude. It was crazy.
And I just remember being really, really, really hungry when I woke up. We went downstairs. I remember, no, I'm not going to say anything about Ben. Ben likes to play the tables. Ben Wilson likes to play the tables. I won a bunch of money at craps that Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
We had a nice dinner. We all decided we were going to go home Saturday instead of Sunday. We're going to drive back to Salt Lake. We had a great dinner. Mm-hmm. We slept. We woke up at like 9. Went down to Mandalay for the morning buffet and drove home.
Yeah.
And it is still one of the greatest Vegas trips ever.
Just amazing. So anyway, fast forward. Now looking forward to this trip. I'll be curious to see what happens.
We will not be having 4 straight-up martinis before we eat anything. I can tell you that. And I will probably prime the pump before we go and start drinking, which means I'll probably get a whalebone or 17 and be a little
That's
more.
That's the way you have to do it, though. Like, you have to, you know.
Yeah, you got to be drunk all day.
Yeah, like, just literally, like, leave the car at the hotel, Uber everywhere. That's it. That's it, dude.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Real quick, things I'm looking forward to on this trip. Gabe says, but do you have to do a timeshare presentation for the Cosmopolitan?
Oh, my God, dude. Gabe, you're clutch, bro.
We did that at the Westgate Superbook. Horrendous. No, we don't. I paid full freight for my Cosmo room.
Yeah.
They didn't comp us or anything. But Gabe, yeah, you're not that far off. Yeah, Westgate's nice, but they make you do like it was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great rooms. Love the Superbook at Westgate. No, not doing the presentation. Anyway, couple other things. The Mandalay breakfast buffet is fantastic.
Totally worth it.
It is. I go every time I go to Vegas. Absolutely.
It's like $50, but it's totally worth it.
Oh, it's totally worth it because the spread's amazing. Mandalay. I used to love Mandalay. The quality's fallen off a little bit. It's tough. It used to be the top of the world in Vegas. Problem is City Center. MGM's done such an amazing job with Aria Vidara. Like, I mean, everything at City Center is
amazing. Yeah.
Cosmo's great. I've actually, believe it or not, I've never stayed at the Bellagio.
Yeah.
And I need to do that. I want to stay at the Bellagio. I love Vegas. I love Vegas for like a day or two.
Yeah.
I'm not a 4-day, week-long Vegas guy.
It's hard, man.
Yeah, I like Vegas for 2 nights and then you drive home or fly home. That's kind of how I roll.
Yeah, man.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Boy, that story brings back memories.
Dude.
I miss Will Smith.
Yeah.
I miss my guy. He passed away several years ago. Man, those were the days at 1320K fan.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the days.
Yeah, dude.
Anyway, all right. Play the music. Show's over. Wow, is it really an hour and 15 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Where did today go? Make sure you hit subscribe and give us a thumbs up. You're watching this show right now, please give us a thumbs up. Please hit the subscribe button. Really appreciate you being here. Find us anywhere you want a podcast, anywhere you want our content, social media, The Monty Show, M-O-N-T-Y, The Monty Show. Do a Google search, The Monty Show, M-O-N-T-Y, The Monty Show. Until tomorrow, say no vomiting, Jake.
No vomiting, Jake.